Now, here's something that ties directly into picture yourself remembered. This is a way that folks and men, in particular, conveyed messages years ago. A great way. Let's kind of keep picture yourself remembered in mind as you watch this.
The finger-pointing politicians risk making it even scarier or showing that the country's distracted. Think the greatest generation. Think about taking on a world war and a depression at the same time. Quietly, bravely, without fanfare, and without fanning the flames. Martha MacCallum harkens back to such a time in her moving bestseller, Unknown Valor, the story of family, courage, and sacrifice from Pearl Harbor to Iwo Jima. But it's not just a story about her uncle. That's impressive enough. It's a story about a generation that still is really speaking to us and reminding us we are greater than our fears and more than our fights. Be warned, though, as I've said before about Martha's book, read it and learn, but go into it with a big old box of tissues. She joins us right now. Martha, good to see you.
Great to see you, Neil.
Obviously, this is an act of love, and you and I chatted on Fox Business, which, Martha, if you don't get, you should demand.
Absolutely.
But one of the things that came up in this is that you had a personal connection to a hero, and you had heard about your uncle, growing up. But as you were just telling me during the break, it was through the years that you started appreciating the gravity of what he put on the line.
Yeah, I mean, when I look back on it, I feel like this story was kind of reaching out to me for a long time, and that I needed to go through the process of writing this book to learn about Harry Gray, to learn about these men. And I remember my mother saying to us when we were little, oh, well, my favorite cousin was killed at Iwo Jima. And when you're a kid, you think, where is that? What does that even mean? How is it relevant to me? But I do remember at one point saying to her, so wait, Harry was 18 years old and he was killed at Iwo Jima in his first day ever heading to the front line. And it just really moved me when I read the letters that he wrote. And what you were talking about in the beginning, I think, is one of the things that just grabs me so much to these stories is just the humility of these men, the fact that they put something else before themselves all the time. And the way that they wrote their letters was, Harry would write letters home saying, we built a foxhole. It's really secure, Mom, so don't worry about me. There's mortars flying over my head right now, but there's plenty of chow, and it's surprisingly good.
Right.
So he was always trying to put like...
He didn't that where he was like, the food stinks, and I can't believe it.
This is not a generation of whiners. I mean, their whole point in writing these letters home was to put those folks at home at ease. Don't worry about me. It's almost over. Everything's okay. Dominic Rossi, who's another young man who's featured in the book, a great story. He was a recipient of the Navy Cross. Right. Was in a horrific battle, the one in which he was given the Navy Cross for. And he writes home afterwards and says, been moving around a bit the past few days, but now I just had my first hot meal, an egg and biscuit sandwich in several days. During those several days, he was involved in hand-to-hand combat with bayonet, against Japanese resistance up the side of a cliff. They got pushed back down. They went back up 3 times and eventually broke the resistance on that ridge. And that was a major turning point in the Battle of Iwo Jima. And he writes home, just had a great egg and biscuit sandwich, and I've been moving around a bit for the past few days. Didn't want them to worry.
You know what? It dawned on me, and not only his letters and how ahead of his years, he was just a teenager, like you said. Yeah. And he's in this epic battle, and it's almost the end of World War II. He's just months away from being out of there and back home with everybody. It didn't happen. Yeah. And I'm just wondering, you read that, and there's so many probably just like him who, without even thinking or worrying, that you were relating to how much he wanted to join after Pearl Harbor. And
all the young men did, really.
And, you think about many today would just say, is there a way to get to Canada? That was unheard of.
No, it was. I mean, even these men now, I was just with 51 of them on Saturday night in Arlington at the 75th commemoration of the Battle of Iwo Jima. And, still, it's just very selfless. They say, look, I'm not a hero. I got to come home. It's guys like Harry who left everything there. Yeah. I mean, you talk about, giving everything. I mean everything, right? Yeah, life is over. Right. No wife, no children, no nothing. The line of that family tree stops with that person. And I think we have to ask questions about that person in all of our families and what they gave up to serve. But they all talk about, it wasn't about me. It was, it was not, it was just, I was just there. I just got lucky. I just got to come home. But most of them say, they never thought, once they got there and they saw what they were getting into, they all a lot of patriotism and wanted to serve. Most of them said, I never thought I'd make it off that island.
Just quiet dignity. Not a one of them could have become a television anchor, but
kind of like the presidential candidates that you just showed.
But I mean, just greatness, and I love how. And I urge, for those of you who haven't had a chance to read it or get it, I urge you to do that, because she weaves this personal story with what was going on concurrently in the world. But it's that connection, and you named your youngest son after her.
I did. Yeah, he's Harry.
He lives on.
He does, exactly.
All right, something to think about when we all start throwing names and accusations at each other, that we are bigger than that. And I think Martha reminds us it's kind of in our DNA.
Thank
A
you.
little more into this.